Tom, you mentioned again, a moment ago the way young Americans flock to Bernie Sanders. Gallup poll this summer, the proportion of Americans age 18 to 29 that holds a favorable view of capitalism, 45%. The proportion that holds a favorable view of socialism, 51%.
There is no other option.
Tom, to her supporters, to the supporters of Bernie Sanders, to young Americans, what would you say?
I would say get some facts first. Know what you're talking about before you start spouting out this kind of stuff. One of the things I do in a new book is I suggest that there's a certain opinion about what happened in the 1920s where the taxes were cut from the highest tax rate was cut down from 73% to 24%. And the argument was, oh, this is tax cuts for the rich. And I have suggested that students and that the Secretary of the Treasury did this in support of a trickle-down theory and so forth. And I suggested that the students would be a wonderful project to go read what the Secretary of the Treasury actually said.
Andrew Mellon in the 1920s,
yes,
about these tax cuts.
And then go on the internet and get the Internal Revenue official data on who paid how much taxes in the 1920s. And it turns out if you do that, you find that Andrew Mellon said that the exact opposite of what he is attributed. It is attributed to him in textbooks that have been sold widely for decades on end through successive editions. And what you'll find is that when the tax rate was at 73%, the people who are making over $100,000 a year, and that's maybe a couple of million in today's money, paid 30% of the taxes. And after the so-called tax cuts for the rich, they paid 65% of all the taxes. And that people with incomes under $5,000, which was a nice income in those days, who were paying 15% when the tax rate was cut, before the tax rate was cut. And after it was cut, they paid just under 1/4% of all the taxes. And so we hear and so there's all kinds of indignation in these scholarly books. We're not talking about just political propaganda. How this was a bonanza for the rich and so on. And people with ordinary incomes paid practically nothing in income tax after the tax cuts. And millionaires, the share of millionaires was, I think, 4% before that, and it was 19% afterwards. But the facts simply do not matter.